Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochattil. What's happening in West Asia? It's a question that many people are asking, and there are no answers for it. The funeral ceremony of the slain Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is in progress in Iran as we speak. It's being taken around various cities in Iran and, of course, to Najaf in Iraq and to Karbala before it comes back to Mashhad, which is the hometown of Ali Khamenei. What happens after this is a question. And actually, one need not wait till the end of this burial ceremony. Already, there was a major flashpoint that happened yesterday. When Iran, or supposed to be, Iranian guards, Iranian Navy assets, fired at 3 vessels. One a Saudi, second a Qatari, and the third supposed to be a British ship that was going through the Strait of Hormuz in different points in time over the last 36 hours. The ships were damaged, but no major casualties except for the Qatari vessel, which is carrying LPG in it. And we are not sure what the status of that is right now as we are recording this program. But surely enough, what happened in the last 24 to 36 hours has shaken up the so-called Memorandum of Understanding, which I call it the Memorandum of Misunderstanding. Yes, it's a MOU, but in a different context of misunderstanding. Because all the 14 points that were listed there were kind of very, very vague. There was no clarity in it. It seems to have been a cut and paste job by the Pakistanis and the Qataris. And the irony of it is the Qataris, who are involved in dialogue with Iran and the US, had their own ship bombed by Iran. That shows how Iran is taking things out. According to the Iranians, the Strait of Hormuz is theirs for asking. They will charge a toll after the 60 days or before days. They said the Omanis will get involved. The Omanis are not talking about it. The 2 routes, one going via Iranian coast, another going via the Omani coast, are different routes which the ships are taking. Iran wants everybody to go through their area. The US will have none of it. And along with the International Maritime Organization, they are developing a route that goes past the Omani coast. And that is something that Iran is not liking, because they see that is what is wrong with the MOU, because you're violating the MOU according to them. How? God knows, because it's very clear, the MOU. It says the Strait of Hormuz shall remain open. But Iran says, no, we have got a right to. There was no such right before the 28th of February, when the bombing took place in Tehran. The Strait of Hormuz was open all these years, except for a brief while in the 50s and later when Saddam Hussein went to war with Iran. So then, why is today that point, the Strait of Hormuz, become the nuclear weapon for Iran? US is not really pushing its case. It should have taken real strong action earlier. That is the problem. The point is very simple. Iran wants to show that it has a dominance after this war. It wants to show its Arab neighbors that it's the new boss in the Middle East. Of course, they don't want to have a face-off with Israel because they know Israel can just wipe them out. What President Trump should have done was to finish the war at that point in time when the 40 days was ending. Instead, he was pushed into a ceasefire by the same Arab nations, today getting pillared by Iran. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and others should have realized that before pushing for a ceasefire, they should have taken down the Iranian regime. It was easily assumed that once the top leadership of Iran was wiped out on 28th of February, the government would fall. That is something the US had miscalculated, and even the Israelis. The second rung leadership took over. The third rung took over. And sure enough, the Iranians had learned a lot of lessons from the war they had with Iraq for over 8 years. The lessons were learned then. But the US did not push its case. One push for a couple of days more would have finished off the Iranian regime. And in fact, today when Trump sees millions in the streets mourning for Ali Khamenei, The question I believe he asked himself was, is this real? Iran has a population of 90 million people. So even if 0.5 million or even 1 million people come on the streets, it is not a reflection of the Iranian regime's popularity. It is just like Trump's MAGA crowd, who are there whenever he calls them. That is the problem. In Iran today, Ali Khamenei, if you go back and look at his track record, it's terrible. He has massacred the Baha'i members, Baha'i community by thousands in his early days before he became the supreme leader or just after he became the supreme leader. So much so, the anger in other parts of Iran at that point in time and other parties in Iran who tried to kill him with a tape recorder bomb in 1981. Of course, he would never forget that. He was maimed, his right hand was not working. His vocal cords had gone. But then he survived for 36 odd years. Now that he's gone, the main question that is being asked is, what's next? Will his son, Mustafa Khamenei, whose whereabouts are not known, whose health parameters are not known, rule like his father did? Or will he be more arrogant and more tough than his father? Ladies and gentlemen, you might wonder, why are we talking about Iran, Israel, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia and others? Because every time there is a skirmish and the Strait of Hormuz shuts down, the fuel prices go up. The price which we pay for the LPG at home or the restaurants pay as a commercial cylinder or for the petrol, diesel or even the CNGs and of course the aviation fuel charges. Everything rises up. This is something that we need to understand. No man is an island. We are all interconnected in this world. So the time now has come for India to widen its crude basket, which we did wonderfully well just after the war broke out and the Strait of Hormuz crisis came in. Today we are buying oil from 40 different countries, oil and other products. We are not just dependent on the Gulf nations because anytime the Strait of Hormuz can shut down again. And US has realized that all the bluff and bluster for the so-called MOU doesn't work at all. Iran is back to where it was. The leopard will never change its spots. It is the same regime which was there when Ali Khamenei was there. And it's the same regime which is there when Ali Khamenei is there. So Ayatollah Khamenei to Ali Khamenei, nothing has changed. And it will not change even to Mustafa Khamenei. This regime has to go, and President Trump, if he thinks that he can cozy up with them and arrive at an understanding to tackle the nuclear assets, he is mistaken. Iran is good at bluffing. They're good at playing the long game, and they will play the long game. They're good negotiators. They know that. They negotiated for the JCPOA for almost 2 years. They know the game. They know the waiting game. But on the US side, there is a problem. You have absolutely, I wouldn't say people with zero experience like Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who know nothing about international diplomacy, who have been given the task just because of the proximity to President Trump. It's time President Trump realizes the game that Iran is playing, supported by countries like Pakistan, who are kind of absolutely nobodies in this. But then they've been given a prominence because Asim Munir got many people in Pakistan, shady characters, to invest in the crypto company of President Trump. So he's become a good man. He's become Trump's favorite because of that. Just like the aircraft given to Qataris, which is now the new Air Force One to President Trump. This is where the problem gets acute. President Trump should realize that he has only one way out: bite the bullet. Because the price of oil is something that he's worried about, especially when the midterms are around the corner. He should either decide that he will go all out, finish the regime, and then tell the people of US, look, it's taking time, but I finished the regime, the oil prices will come down, give me some time, and I'm sure they will vote for him in the midterm polls. But if he does nothing and plays a waiting game and just say, oh, what? Iran can have missiles because Saudi has missiles. So what? Tomorrow, Pakistan has nuclear. So will you allow Iran to go nuclear? This is the question. Iran has no business in asking about Lebanon because they are not in that geography. In the MOU, there should have been clear names of Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis. Why not? Why was it not there? They should have been very clear definition saying they should be disarmed, but they should not be funded by Iran. But nothing of that sort. Is very, very hazy, very, very vague kind of MOU that was written. And that is causing the problem now. They have not even got to the 14th point. They're stuck at the first point. And I'm sure President Trump will realize 6 months from now, that is how long the Iranians are good at playing with him, that Iran has made a fool of him and Pakistan has made a bigger fool of him by making him believe that Iran is ready to negotiate. Iran is not negotiating. They're tiring out Trump. They're trying him out, and they're ensuring that one day he will fall at their feet. And that is what is happening. For all his bluff and bluster of Trump, saying the Iranian Navy is gone, Air Force is gone, Army is gone, they are still able to fire missiles, projectiles, and even drones at the ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump left the war half finished. It's time he finishes it. And if he cannot do it, he should ask Benjamin Netanyahu to do it. He will do a better job of it. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.